Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, one triune God. Amen. Today, the Church is celebrating the feast of two great apostles. Stand within the apostolic tradition at the two extreme positions. Peter, the one whom he called first, and Paul, whom he called after his resurrection and ascension. So within that spectrum, all others fall in. And on the one side, Peter followed Jesus throughout his public ministry. And within that context, we also see Peter in different contexts. And to say the least, Peter is also very fickle-minded. He blurts out whatever comes to his mind and then changes his mind, then comes back to Jesus. I think in a way, he is a typical human being. The questions Peter asks to Jesus at the different stages of ministry is something we all would ask. One of the famous passages about Peter is Peter proclaiming the faith in Jesus, proclaiming him as the Messiah, and then Jesus saying, "You are the rock, on this I shall build my church." And then within few verses after this narrative by St. Matthew, St. Matthew himself says, Jesus calling Peter, "Satan, go away from me." Not because Peter was an evil person, because Peter had an idea how Jesus' ministry should end. That's why I said he represents all of us. We all know how God should function. And then in another place, we see Peter ask, "We left everything and followed you. What do we get?" Another question we all ask, what do I get out of this? In anything, whenever we go to church, we ask, what do I get out of this if I go to church? And then we also see Peter fearing for his life, denying Jesus, because he got scared. And he says, "And I don't even know him." This person, on the one side, he followed Jesus even to his trial, but as soon as somebody confronted him about his relationship with Jesus Christ, he becomes an apostate. "I don't even know him. I don't know what you are talking about." And then finally, we also see him at the seashore in the post-resurrection story, where Jesus again confronts him. There also, it's a very interesting situation. Before the text we read, we see that Peter telling him, "I am going to fish." In a way, he is leaving his vocation, because Jesus called him out of his fishing lifestyle or his occupation and told him that you have to follow me, I will make you fishers of men. And then the one who had a leadership role within that group of disciples says that, "I'm going back." He is recanting in a way. "I'm fed up with. Jesus has left. What are we going to do?" We thought he is going to be the Messiah. Now, in the context of the pandemic, we all ask this question. Because we are suffering, where is God? And then Jesus again comes after Peter. It's a very interesting question. It's like Jesus asked very specifically do you love me? Not merely do you love me. The first question is, do you love me more than these? Because the love you should have towards me should be beyond anything else you love. He didn't say that don't love anything else, but do you love me more than this? If you have to make a choice, which one do you prefer? Would you like to go back to fishing or to come with me? Then the question repeats. Of course, we have all different kind of interpretation, 3 times, 3 kinds of sheep, goats, everything. But I want to focus on that particular aspect. Actually, the ones who edited the Bible also says that here it is saying that Peter is being restored. Jesus restores Peter. So Peter, one who was so eager, whenever he is challenged, whenever his will is not functioning, he was ready to leave the faith in a way. We can also say that when Jesus had to say, Satan, leave me, within few verses of, I'm going to build my church on this rock, in a way, or when he says that I don't even know Jesus, he becomes an apostate. But the call he had was not that easy to leave. So Jesus comes after him, restores him, and interestingly, after that, he hasn't changed. The one who got scared by the question of a servant girl walks boldly to his death at the end of his ministry. That is what happens when we decide to love Jesus more than whatever other things we love. And the other apostle, Paul, goes from the other extreme. He was a persecutor of church. He was the guardian of the ones who were stoning St. Stephen. And then he goes to Damascus with a letter to persecute. He is not happy merely persecuting the Jesus followers in Jerusalem. He once takes a letter from the Jewish religious leaders, travels all the way to Damascus so that he can persecute them there also. He was more like a bounty hunter in a different way, because he has decided to persecute these people to whatever extent it is possible. But again, Jesus confronts him. Jesus confronts the persecutor. Here the question is, why are you persecuting me? It is not about, do you love me or anything. That question was enough to transform Paul. Saul becomes Paul. And we also know that he also, from a persecutor, he becomes a persecuted and a martyr. And this is the call of the church. I'm not want to delve into the authority of the Peter or the rest of the apostles or anything, but merely about this is the call as a church. Where do we stand? Within this spectrum, we can have anything. We could be the Peter, a regular fisherman, or the Peter whom Jesus called. Very sporadically, he leaves everything. He doesn't discuss, plan, like we all do. When we move into a new position or a new job or a new vocation, we have a lot of things to do. He doesn't do any of those things. He said, okay, he is calling me. He says that he leaves his father and the net. He leaves everything, the fishing net and everything, he leaves and goes with Jesus. Then again, throughout the Jesus experience, he gets confused. But towards the end, everything sort of falls into place. I think it is a typical faith journey we see. All of us, if we take our faith seriously, go through these moments. Of course, none of us, I don't think, can identify with Jesus, with Paul, because we haven't actively persecuted. Passively, we might have. We haven't persecuted. We have not gone to persecute church, hunt out the Christians and trying to kill them. So, because we have never taken a clear stand on anything, we also don't take a firm stand like Paul did after the conversion experience. It's easy, I always find it easier to identify with Peter because I can identify easily with the challenges and the doubts. So, as we celebrate this great feast, we close the fast of the apostles with this, celebrating these two apostles who holds, I always find them two extreme positions in the apostleship. Of course, they had their own quarrels, they had their own disagreements, and we see Paul challenging Peter. But in the midst of all these kinds, they also said when they had to discuss, we see in the Acts, the Jerusalem Council, they decided in one accord. So finally, the Holy Spirit rules. So as we celebrate these two great saints, let us focus on our own apostleship. We are all called as a church to be the preachers, to be the teachers, and also to be the people who love Jesus Christ more than anything. That I want to underscore that word, more than. It is not merely about casually saying, I love you, Jesus, putting a bumper sticker, I love Jesus, smile, or something like that. It is about do you love Jesus more than that sticker? Or more than your possessions? If you have to make a choice, which one will you choose? May God bless us all. Thank you.